Dell has been on a roll the past few years with their XPS lineup, which is why I'm excited that they were able to sponsor this video for us to show you their latest XPS laptops as a CES preview. We got the 14 and the 16. Welcome to Dell. Let's do great things together. Sure. Inside both of the boxes, it's pretty identical. You get your laptops in a cloth bag, and here is the documentation, or at least where it would go. There's nothing in here. I imagine it's just because it's CES, the documentation hasn't been finalized. And here are the charging bricks. They are 100 watt adapters for both sides, same size charging brick. Nice and pretty small. I tend to like the Dell charging bricks, and they also both terminate in a USB-C. There's no proprietary standard here, which is a bummer if you're somebody who likes the MagSafe kind of stuff that you can find on a Surface or a MacBook. But nice, because now you can just charge anything else that's USB-C with these. I love the simple packaging. Way to go, Dell. Let's unsheath these. Wow, these are nice. And look at these. Thin and light, I guess, is the way. Dell says that these start at 3 pounds or 3.65 pounds on the 16-inch. And honestly, it's like really easy to manipulate. It's a very lightweight laptop, which is pretty crazy because these are some pretty powerful laptops. We'll talk about that later. One impressive thing is that this is basically the same size as a 13-inch MacBook Air, and you're getting a full extra inch of screen. Dell actually claims that this is smaller by volume, though the difference is so slight that you probably wouldn't notice. This feels like they're lying, you know? It feels like they're like, this can't be 14 inches. It does feel so much more compact, and you just get that much extra space from the smaller bezels around the entire edge of the display. That's pretty neat. But before we look too closely at the insides, let's take a look at the ports we got on the outsides. On the right-hand side, we get one USB-C port, a combo audio jack, and on the other side, 2 more USB-C ports. All are Thunderbolt 4, so it doesn't matter which port you're plugging into, you'll get full 40 gigabit per second speeds and DisplayPort out, which is pretty sweet. Though, I would like at least one USB-A, but there's not a whole lot of space. Maybe the bigger one gets it. No, these have the exact same I/O, so it's more just a preference of size rather than of functionality. Dell's XPS lineup is taking advantage of the latest Intel processors. That's right, we got Panther Lake in these babies, which plans to take the power of Arrow Lake plus the efficiency gains of Lunar Lake and combine them into one super great mobile chip. And the fact that these are ultra chips means that these are gonna be AI ready if Copilot is your thing. And these can both be spec'd with the top of the line Intel Core Ultra X9 processor 388H. The ones we have today are a little bit more modest. That doesn't mean that those are weak processors, but let's take a look inside of these. Yes! They got rid of the worst part of their previous XPS laptops. We have our actual function row with actual buttons. It's not capacitive for no reason. Thank you, Dell, for going back to the way it should be. Capacitive buttons are no good, and I'm glad they got rid of it. Whether or not you like the lack of gaps in your keyboard is probably a preference. I find that these still type quite well, though I think they lack a bit of tactile click that I would like. They're a little bit more subtle than other chiclet style keyboards that I've used. Not bad, just not my preference. The keyboards are in fact backlit. They are not RGB. These are sturdy with their CNC aluminum unibody construction. And let's see. Oh yes, you could do the one hinge open. That only went up because I went too far. They don't lay flat. They're not lay flat, but they are touch screens, and the hinge stays pretty well where you want it to, even when you're writing on it, which is good. And while the body itself is CNC, the trackpad is actually glass. I don't know if it's the same Gorilla Glass 3 that makes up the displays on this. It is a nice hand feel. But let's talk about the displays. They use Dell's OLED Infinity Edge touch displays, which are tandem OLEDs. And what is tandem OLED? Well, kind of like how there's 2 of you on a tandem bicycle. On a tandem OLED panel, there are 2 OLED layers. What that means is you can boost brightness and color volume without affecting the lifespan because you don't need to drive these things with as much power, and that lowers their burn-in risk. Despite that, these are not the brightest displays, but boy, are they pretty. Both of these are VESA Display HDR True Black 500 certified, and interestingly, they have a variable refresh rate that can go from 20 to 120 Hertz, and that's a first for laptops according to Dell. Think about the LTPO displays that you have on your phone that allows your phone to go down to 1 Hertz. So when you're looking at static content, this can instead change its refresh rate to 20 Hertz to save battery life, and that's gonna make a big difference. Even cooler is that if you get the LCD display, which is of course not going to be quite as beautiful as the tandem OLED, you can actually get the full 1 to 120 Hertz, just like you would have on your cell phone. And that's another first. And also, I don't think I've heard of that being applied to an LCD before. But what does the lab say? Well, on these pre-production units where things could change, the displays are pretty good. Testing them out of the box, we saw in SDR that the peak brightness is around 420 nits, which is a bit above what Dell quotes, and that their gamma tracks at around 2.3 across the board. By default, these have 100% coverage of the P3 color space, but that results in most colors being too saturated for sRGB, even when we compensate by trying to clamp to the sRGB color space. For color accuracy, we did find a Delta E2000 averaging around 1.5-ish when clamped to sRGB, and 2-ish in its out-of-the-box profile when comparing to display P3. In HDR, when we calibrate to the EOTF target, we found that the peak brightness was around over 500 nits at a 10% window and 400 nits at a 100% window size, hitting the True Black 500 certification. The displays cover around 85% of the BT 2020 color space with a very impressive Delta E ITP of around 8.1 on average, despite a little bit of oversaturation. Overall, surprisingly good for HDR, even if the SDR is like, eh. Between the two laptops, the differences that we saw can basically just be chalked up to panel variants. They're all within manufacturing tolerances. They're both good displays. The webcams on both of these seem pretty good, honestly. They're very small, is something that Dell wants to point out. The first ultra narrow 8 megapixel webcams, they're trying to maintain the quality of their older laptop webcams while fitting it into an even smaller bezel. And I think that these do a perfectly admirable job for anything you'd want out of a webcam from a laptop. Like, there's no real complaints here. You get a little bit of blown out in the highlights sometimes. If you're on the go and you just need to take a video call, this is a perfectly serviceable webcam. And speaking of on the go, Dell claims that this is going to have 27 hours of battery life for general use and up to 40 hours for local video playback. That is crazy. That's better than like MacBook good, okay? It's probably in no small part due to the tandem OLED plus the low refresh rate. Maybe they're playing like a 20 FPS video, so the frame rate only has to be 20 Hertz, but you know what's gonna kill your battery is playing some games. Now, this is not a gaming laptop. In fact, the laptops in front of me don't even have a GPU proper in them. We're running on integrated Xe graphics, but the Intel Core Ultra Series 3 does come with 12 Xe cores. If you ever listen to speakers, you know, they get decently loud, but I'm not gonna say it's it excels, especially on the 16-inch. Let's see what the 14-inch sounds like. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed by the 14-inch laptop. I guess both of these have 10 watts of speaker power, and that's coming in a hidden design where it's like you can't really tell what the speakers are. Dell wants me to mention that these are omnidirectional speakers that you can't even see. Wow. So we're playing Witchfire. It's a
UE4 based game.
It's in early access, and we're playing at full screen 1920 by 1200s. We're on medium settings, and things are looking and running pretty good. And this is integrated graphics. Like, I don't know if you can see that, how well you can see that from the top down. It's looking pretty good to me, honestly. I'm quite impressed, especially because this is not one of the SKUs that has the additional ARC graphics on it. This is just the new Intel graphics, the Xe3 graphics that forms the baseline of all of the Panther Lake CPUs, which means that if I wanted to, I could do some upscaling with HexOS. That's kind of one of the most exciting parts of this latest generation of Intel processors, is the massive improvements that they've made to the GPUs in these things. You're gonna see some pretty powerful thin and light laptops coming really, really soon, and the XPS is no exception. So where does that leave us at the end of this unboxing of the new XPS lineup. I'm honestly pretty impressed. They've taken everything that they did right about the last gen, got rid of what they've done wrong, and provided a super premium feeling, super performant package in a classy chassis that just feels great and was honestly pretty quiet. It sounds great. I mean, pricing remains to be seen, and especially in these hard times when it comes to RAM and stuff, who knows what pricing is gonna be like, but I will assure you, regardless of the price, you are getting a high quality premium product that is super nice. So where does that leave us with the Dell XPS lineup? Well, it's not quite done yet. The XPS 13, which they didn't send us today, but they're going to be showing off at CES proper, is poised to be the thinnest and lightest XPS ever, and it's still gonna maintain the same premium quality, as well as be a pretty bit more accessible in terms of price, is what they're saying. Thanks again, Dell, for sponsoring this video. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you watch some more of our CES coverage? There's gonna be so much cool stuff. Riley's gonna be showing you cool stuff, David's gonna be showing you cool stuff, I'm gonna be showing you cool stuff. So keep your eyes peeled, because there's a lot more awesome tech coming your way.